I'm Kiwi,
And I'm Jarad.
and we are the two gentlemen coming to you with the sounds of nature. Jarad, how are you?
I just thought I'd let nature answer for me. Can you hear that? That's lovely.
It is. I love
Early
the
morning
birds.
recordings.
You're really lucky, Jarad, to be surrounded by such beautiful things.
Well, I'm glad. I hope this doesn't annoy people, but yeah, I'm surrounded by nature. So and it's weird. I'm in suburbia, but it just happens to be a high area, a lot of trees floating around and between the houses, and birds, as you can hear, sing along.
Awesome. How are you this morning?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Yeah, nothing really new to report. Yeah, all good. Nothing new. Sorry to be boring. It's funny. I went through a little bit of a thing, and I feel selfish saying it. I went through it, but I helped a lady who had fallen over, and I was on my way to work, and I stopped, and I wasn't the only one there. There was another person, but basically we called an ambulance, and she'd hurt herself pretty badly, lower leg. Stayed with her for like best part of an hour, waiting for paramedics to get there and keep her calm. I guess she was a little bit sort of agitated at times, going through a bit of pain, but the after effect surprised me because obviously we helped her and she got the care she needed and she went off to hospital. It was a little bit of an average injury. It was a pretty gruesome situation, but we tried to keep calm for her.
Yeah.
But afterwards, for me, and I don't want to sound selfish, so I hope I don't come off like that, but I feel like I haven't really been able to stop sort of thinking about her and how she's going. Like, I don't know. Maybe the fact that, I was there and I got to know her a little bit, it's just sort of a nagging little thing that I want to know how she's going. And I don't really have much to say to her, but it's just a really nagging thing. Like, I don't know if it's closure or what, but yeah, it's a bit of a weird feeling. I don't know if you have an opinion on that.
You've met somebody. I think once you are introduced to a person and know they exist, whether it's just eye contact or in this case, something really serious, helping someone with their health, you've got a relationship with them in some way. You know they exist. So naturally, if you're a caring human, you're going to care. And you're a really empathic guy. So naturally, you want to know what's going on with her because you care. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it's just I guess so, but it's just a strange feeling that this stranger has an effect now that I want to try and I know because we explained everything. She told me she's got a family and everything. I'm like, I just want to know how she's going. But yeah, anyway, that's thank you for straightening that out. I thought it was something like that, but it's just a weird sort of sensation. A week after it happening, I just kind of still have a little bit of a thought about her and how she is. But yeah, what about yourself, mate? You saved any people? Or
Well, actually, I was kind of the cause of a bit of a problem. About a year ago, we had a flat tire, and I went to fix it. I've done so many flat tires; it's not an issue for me. Except something I've never had to do was do one on a hill. So the car itself was tilted to the side where the tire was flat, and I didn't think anything of it. And I tried to jack the car, and I broke my jack. So I had to get the NRMA, and they fixed it. And I was like, "Yeah, I've got to get a new jack." I thought I ordered one, but I never did, and I just kept putting it off. Anyway, a year later, Erica gets a flat tire. This was just 2 nights ago.
Oops.
And there's no jack in the car. So
I
know. I felt so terrible. She felt terrible.
One job
for getting a flat tire. I felt terrible because I didn't have the backup. So anyway, a guy happened to be walking past, walking his dogs, and he goes, "Oh, I'm a mechanic. Let me help you." So he goes, he walks his dogs home, comes back with the jack, fixes it up for her.
Oh my goodness.
So I felt really grateful for that. And so Erica contacted his workshop via email just to let them know that he's an awesome dude. So I think she did the right thing.
Yep.
But yeah, look, I trace it all back to me. I made the mistake in the first place, and I didn't rectify that mistake. But it was really nice to know that there's people out there like you who just want to help others. Simple as that. He didn't want anything in return.
Yeah. Look, that is great. A good little story, other than you neglecting your family. No,
pretty much.
but no, it was good, you know, and hopefully that's you know, I believe in karma, so hopefully that is a little bit of karma dust being sprinkled on your family.
Jarad, we have had a little pre-production meeting and we had our topic sorted out, but I need to ask you about your take on karma. Sorry, I'm just springing this on you. I'm changing direction completely here.
Good.
Please define your definition of karma for me.
Do good things will happen to you. I don't know. Look, I in a nutshell, yes, it's that. I teased a little bit, but yeah, look, you know, you put out good vibes in the world, and you it must be a bit spiritual here, but you put out good vibes in the world, and you do good things when your time of need or something is required, that you get paid back somehow, whether it be a lift, an easy phone call, your phone, you know, or you run out of petrol near a petrol station, you know, like things that are out of your control just seem to fall in your lap when you need it, I guess, because you've put good vibes out in and you've done, you know, paid it forward, I guess.
See, that sounds lovely. And it's one of those things that works until it doesn't.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
You know, there's many people out there who are like, what have I done to deserve this?
Yeah,
and
I know.
I don't have an answer for that.
I know. And you feel bad. I feel bad saying, oh, you just be nice. And then all of a sudden nice stuff happens to you. Well, what if you are nice and then you do break down in the middle of Australia and there's a petrol station 500,000 kilometers away? You know?
Or what if you're living your life and some invading army comes in and destroys everything and kills all your countrymen?
That's right. And you've been good the day before, helped, you know, and then all of a sudden you know, your world is completely changed and you're like, well, why is this happening? You know, why does this entire country deserve this, you know?
Yeah.
Because they don't.
Exactly. So I just wanted to know what your take on karma was, because I've thought about it a lot. And my definition of karma is really that you live the life that you live. That's all. So if you're a kind, giving person, you will live a life where you are kind and giving. That doesn't mean anyone's going to be kind and giving to you.
No.
That's the way I see it. So really, it's about generating your own, I suppose, energy around you and your own life.
I agree with the energy and life bit. And I think, you know, maybe being that type of person, you don't go in there and go, well, I've helped you, so here's I've ticked that here. I've got one good deed coming my way. Like you don't go in there going, well, karma's going to pay, you know, but it's not a knowing sort of thing, I guess. But I suppose it's a bit spiritual, but it's a bit sort of, you know, realistic. When you talk about it realistically, yeah, you're right. It's more of a hope, I guess.
Yeah,
but, you know, yeah.
I guess for me, it's nature's going to do its own thing, you know, regardless of, and we've tried to control it. We've sacrificed humans to the gods for thousands of years, and you know, prayed that we'd get the rains, the harvest, you know, that there wouldn't be any natural disasters, and they still happen, of course. And then at that point we say, oh, we haven't been good enough. We haven't appeased the gods. Quick, sacrifice another goat, sacrifice a child, sacrifice a grown adult. So
crazy.
Blood sacrifices have been going on for millennia, and the gods have never been appeased. You know, we still have natural disasters, we still have financial crises in the modern day, etc. So, for me, it's just all you can do is control your mind as best you can. So, if you're a happy person, you will live a happy life, regardless of what nature dishes up. You know, if the earthquake comes, you will be taking shelter wherever it is, in your cave, or you know, in the modern day, in your home, in your basement, or in a doorway, under a table, whatever it is, and you'll do so happily with a good attitude. And I know it sounds so wishy-washy, but that's the best I could do with karma. I don't think there's much you can control outside of your own reactions to things.
No, that's correct. But I like to think about karma as something that comes to me. But yes, I agree, but disagree at the same time. Disagree is the wrong word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I hope there's more.
So do I, Jarad. And look, speaking of karma, I've been trying to look at my impact on the world since, you know, a very long time now, since I became much more aware of how self-indulgent I could be as a teenager.
Yep.
And now as a parent, that's the biggest time, because we're really leaving a huge footprint in the form of children.
Yes.
Our children specifically. And I guess, being 42-ish years old right now, we're in a position of leadership, whether it's an official thing or not, as a parent or as a manager at work. But people look at us to know better and to do better, especially our children. As a homeschooling dad, I'm in a position of leadership where I am meant to teach my kids things, so many things, not just the school curriculum, but, leading by example, by being a decent person. I just want to know, Jarad, how are you handling that transition to that sort of responsibility? I mean, you've got a lot of leadership positions, don't you?
There's a lot going on. Look, I think we've sort of touched on these sort of things earlier, very early days of the podcast. So I apologize if I'm repeating myself, or maybe my views have changed a little. Who knows? But essentially, these days, I've changed from me, just worrying about me, and then worrying is probably the wrong word, but essentially being concerned about, as you said, how we teach and coach and mentor these little humans. Part of that for me at this stage, and I've mentioned it again, is that now I'm sort of, coaching a sports team that my daughter's playing in. And, then there's 10 other little humans there that sort of half listen to me when they feel like it. So you become a little bit of a mentor there, I guess, and mentor might be too much of a strong word, but you are putting whatever, if you call it wisdom, out there, and if they take it, whether it be, how to kick a soccer ball, or how to be a good teammate, or how to respect the other team and respect the people around you and their parents. Like, very recently, we've had to have a really good chat with the kids about, winning and losing, respect for others whilst winning and losing. Because there's been a few little emotions overflowing and bubbling over, and it's created a situation, because, these young kids don't really know yet how to win gracefully or lose gracefully. Like, this is part of sport and life in general, but this is the little lessons they learn, and then you realize, hang on a minute, I'm the one giving you this lesson. Like, there's a bit of pressure. So I'm lucky. I'm working with some good people who are helping me coaching wise, like in the team, managing wise, and it's helped. It's helped that we've done it as a group, and we've all had a chat about it. People from different backgrounds with different experiences has really helped, and hopefully the girls come out of this season better soccer players, but more importantly, better little humans, and able to work effectively after winning and losing.
That's great, Jarad. And it's such a huge lesson to learn, how to be gracious in both winning and defeat. It's a tough one. And unless you're explicitly given that lesson, you might not even learn it.
Well, no, and that's the one thing that we sort of realized, like, we're sort of, halfway through the season, and it's like, no one's really sat down and talked to these girls about, we don't know what the parents talk about, of course, but as a collective group, no one's actually sat down and gone, okay, this is how we win and lose as a team. Your actions have an effect on that person who's wearing the same shirt, has an effect on us, has an effect on your parents, has an effect on the club. This is a training ground for you to, work on those skills, and it's a lot bigger than the game they're playing. But it's a nice it's a nice feeling to see some of those things come through now, and all it needed was just not a reminder, just an actual, like, hey, this is how it's done. We sort of assume that kids can do things, and it's not natural to be able to, sometimes it's just not natural for kids, for adults even, to win and lose and respect and do all that, and not let their emotions overtake them.
Yeah. how are you finding your job? Like, do you think that you're doing a good job at the moment?
I'm a bit critical on myself at times because how I speak. Sometimes I blurt things out. So when I'm I have to be careful because when you're coaching, sometimes you just say what you might like straight away, and you've got to filter that a little bit. So when you're trying to give a little bit of a talk about respect and things, you don't just sort of blurt it out. So like I said, I was lucky to have a lot of people around so we could sort of plan that conversation. But in regards to being on the sidelines and you've got to make sure your emotions don't take over. So you're going to cheer for your child, you're going to cheer for your team, but then you don't want to hurt the other team by going, these are only young kids. So the transition of being, like a sports fan and a player to being a sports dad and a coach can be tough. There is a difference. You can't just get on the sideline and barrack for your team. These are young kids, like what effect are you having on the kids, the other kids, the parents, your team's parents. So you've got to be a little bit, and I've never been like a big, sports person that would go out and yell and scream at the teams. We discussed this before. So it's not as hard for me, but I can understand why, people who play on emotion and watch sport with emotion would really have a lot of trouble just to sit and watch, kids play and try and coach kids, because you need patience, because sometimes you have to spell things out a little bit more than just like I said, kids don't know what part of your role is to help them learn that.
How hard is that for you though, to recognize that the kids don't realize, this? For example, imagine speaking to someone in a completely foreign language and they're going, why aren't they listening to me? And that's kind of what it is when you're teaching a child a new thing. They're learning
I'll give you
a whole new vocabulary, aren't they?
Yeah, totally. And I'll give you just a really short one. Is like I set out a little field with cones, and I just said, just run around the field. Give me 2 laps around the field just to warm up. So they all took off around the big field, and I went, okay, I need to be a little bit more direct. See the cones, the pink cones that I set out, run around them. But it's just little things like that you go, or you might say something like, oh yeah, run that way, and they're like, what way? Or run towards your goal, or run towards your, and they're like, they don't get it. You need to spell it out until they get it. Until, like, if you were to yell out to an adult, I'll run towards your goal, who are playing sport, you kind of, they would get it.
Yep.
But it's just an understanding that you have to take 5-10 steps backwards to then take your steps forwards. But you're not taking backwards is the wrong word. You as a coaching little kids, you kind of, that's a learning curve for you too. Yeah, you're actually getting back to that. You're getting back on an even space because you're both learning.
I'm glad you corrected yourself there when you used the word backwards. I was like, well, hang on a second. Relative to the learner, this is right at the beginning. Right. It's not backwards at all.
That's one of those things where I blurt out the wrong word.
But yeah, it's really hard to adjust, I find, being someone with the knowledge to be able to find where that person is. And I've had these situations at work where I'm like, how could you not know that? And you're like, well, it's not the same for everybody.
Correct.
For example, I had a guy ring me at about pretty close to 11 o'clock at night asking how to unlock the bathroom. And I said, so there was this groove on the outside, so you could unlock it from the outside if someone had locked themselves in. And I said, okay, you just need to get a 10-cent coin and stick it into that groove and turn it. Then he rings back and goes, oh, I only have a $1 coin on me. And I'm like, okay, what you need to do is you need to look in someone's pencil case and see what money they've got, grab a 10-cent coin from there and then do it. And he's like, oh, okay. And at the time I thought, how could you not know that? And then I thought, well, he doesn't know that there's money in certain spots in the house, that people have, their own accounts. And so for him, it wouldn't be in his thinking at all that, oh yeah, I'll just go and grab the money from this person. And I mentioned it to Eric and she's like, how could he not see that that's what that groove was for? And I was like, well, you don't necessarily know about door handles. Yeah. I don't know how many people are experts on that sort of thing and would think that's what it's for. So I really had to take a step back there and go, look, it's not this guy's fault. He genuinely didn't know how it worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the amount of times I've rung Erica from work going, hey, we're cooking this. So do I, when I'm making schnitzels, do I put the flour on before the crumbs? And she's like, yeah, flour, eggs, then breadcrumbs. I'm like, okay, cool. And for her, she'd be like, how could he not know that?
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
that's not my
But it's
area of
on you as
expertise.
the teacher. It's on you as the teacher or the person giving out the instructions to understand that they're ringing for a reason, I guess. And what might seem simple for you is not necessarily. Like, I wouldn't know the door handle thing.
Yeah, there you go.
At all, it's part of the deal. Like, we're all learning from each other.
Exactly. I've been doing a lot more maths lately with my eldest son, and there are things that I skipped with him that I didn't show him how to do properly. And I was wondering, why are you doing it like this? And I'm like, well, that's because I didn't teach him. So those things, it really comes back to us as the leader or the mentor in this case, to be humble and go, hang on a second, that's on you. You didn't teach properly. That's a training gap. And rather than get frustrated at that person, get frustrated at yourself for not teaching them. And to me, it was a really good lesson in the misplaced anger or frustration. Not like I was angry, but it's, the misplaced feeling. Quite often in life, we become angry at the wrong person. We're pointing at fingers at someone else when really, come on, man, it's got to do with you.
A lot of times that's correct, and I'm realizing that now. Thank you. Look, it is, and like I do with every episode, I'm repeating what you're saying, but yeah, totally agree. As a teacher and as a mentor or such, you need to understand your audience.
Yep, exactly. And that's the thing with communication. It's two-way. You don't talk and then it just automatically goes into someone's ears. You've got to get that feedback that it's been interpreted properly, don't you?
Yeah. You can talk all you want, and you won't. The bit that you want to sink in, I guarantee, won't sink in until you press a bit harder and go, okay, what did you hear? And then try and explain a little bit better if they didn't hear. But it's a tough road for both, to be honest. Like, as a learner, everyone learns differently too. So. You might be talking to 10 people or 10 kids, and then 5 of them get it, but the other 5 you have to take a step through, and you step through at different points. Like, one kid might not know this bit when you're trying to explain drills and things like that. It's just it happens in adult life as well. So
yep. And I feel that looking back at school, the amount of kids who went through and thought that they were dumb, who felt that they were failures, when really they were meant to get something out of the standard way of learning, which was, sitting in a classroom full of, 29 other kids, sometimes more. It did happen that there were more than 30 kids in the class, and listening to this teacher, getting no one-on-one attention at all.
Yeah.
Not getting it because you were taught in this cookie cutter way.
Yeah.
And it didn't gel with you. So then you fail. The teacher can't give you any one-on-one to catch up with that. You don't have any private tutoring. Well, you just slip through the cracks when really you're a smart kid. You just have a different method of learning.
Yeah. And it's very common, very common.
Yeah. And that's not the reason why we're homeschooling. But one of the great things about homeschooling is that we can adjust on the fly and tailor things to the learner.
And I guarantee your 2 boys are different learners. Like, you thought you might have had it covered with your first, and then the second one comes along and you're like, oh, that's how I explained it to him. And then there'd be some familiar things in some aspects, but the way that 2 siblings learn are different, let alone two kids from different families and different upbringings and things like that. So
and that's just made me so much more conscious of bringing it all back to me and my technique, and making sure that I'm dynamic and I'm learning myself, because, the moment you think you've got something now, the moment you think other people have to fit in with the way you did things, it's my way or the highway. Well, it's not going to work for too many people, is it?
Yeah, no, not at all.
When I hear about great coaches, one of the things I hear most commonly is that they're great man managers.
Yes, I've heard that, yes.
And that's such an important thing. And I heard this story about Alan Langer, and Craig Bellamy was saying when he was up there at Brisbane as an assistant coach, he saw Alan Langer just, kind of slacking off, just chatting to someone when everyone else is doing warm-ups. And then he was about to head over to him to, tell him, hey, mate, you should be over here. And Wayne Bennett said to him, what are you doing? He goes, look, this is just what he does. Just leave him.
Yep.
Because Wayne Bennett understands the individual, and that's what they say makes him such a great coach. And yeah, to me, it's learning is about relationship. Yep. And for all the teachers, mentors, parents out there, I think the most important thing is understand the person you're with.
Yeah. And that's a hard thing for people that are, teachers that are teaching 30 kids, trainers that are training people, coaches that are coaching a team. Like, you've got to understand, like, I've got 10 kids with all different styles of, one kid would like to run away, one kid likes to sit and listen, one kid likes to do. So you've got to, like, Wayne Bennett, who you just talked about, obviously is a professional coach, and he's able to invest his time into going, okay, this particular player does this does this, and they all work together to create my wonderful team, and he, it's very obvious watching him through the years of the sport that I've been watching, is that he selects players on their, not necessarily always their ability. He selects that on their natural, I guess, ability rather than their football ability, their personality, the way that they would gel with a team. And you see a lot of players who follow him, from club to club, or he picks them up a year later and brings them in, and they thrive under him. And there's other coaches like that, but it's as a coach, as a little coach, and as someone who wouldn't mind doing a bit of coaching adults later in life, these guys are the pinnacle, obviously, and that's why they're professional. Let's be honest. But these sort of coaches are scattered through all sorts of sports, But yeah, we're only touching on one there. But yeah, it's man management and understanding the way that they operate at the best, at their peak, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason why I really wanted to do this topic with you, Jarad, was because I'd had that experience with my son recently where I wasn't teaching him the most optimal way for him. And it really was such a wake-up call for me to really think about the student so much more than what I had planned. Yeah. And everything we have to tailor is for them. And what you said with Wayne Bennett, bringing together the right players to make this champion team, I was just thinking about this metaphor of cooking. When you cook a great meal, you don't treat all the ingredients the same. Each ingredient has its role. You boil the rice, doesn't mean you're going to boil, all the tofu or whatever it is you're cooking. Yeah, you do different things with each ingredient to make that great meal come together. And it's the same with your family, society, or your team in your case, that all the ingredients, you want them to come together. Well, how does each one need to be prepared?
That's perfect. That's perfect. Can we finish now? I can't back that up. It's like following, coming on and supporting Guns N' Roses or something, and you have to follow them. It's amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, everything is. Yeah, I'm not even going to try. I was about to try and put a full stop to that, but that's just know that Kiwi's wise.
No, I did actually just think of that just then. Look, it's just my personal experiences with my children that I really am constantly adjusting, constantly. And I think that's the most important thing. Just another thing that I just was doing with my kids yesterday was just getting them to move their feet when we're playing catch in the garage area. And, I said, okay, when you catch the ball, get your body in front of it. And it was just a general play. It wasn't, to practice for football or basketball or anything like that. It was just to get them to move their feet.
Yes.
And that's what we have to do. We always have to move our feet. So when we're in a position to teach, we're always balanced. So that's what I'm trying to do with my kids, and just being as aware as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, what are you doing to me? How am I supposed to follow that?
Move your feet, Jarad.
I'm going to go play catch with my kids. Tell them to follow, to move their feet.
Exactly. Jarad, thanks so much for joining me again. It's a crazy world that we live in, and little rays of sunshine like this make it all worth it to me to share a friendship with somebody with similar values to me, who challenges me, who wants to spread goodness in the world. That's what life is all about to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it definitely makes me feel better doing this personally. And, I after our visits, we I feel very, very warm and fuzzy. So hopefully that can come out into the podcast world, and people who listen have that same feeling. Other than the birds flying around and making noises behind me, hopefully, well, maybe that might set a scene for you, I guess.
I just want to give a couple of shout outs. Two of our listeners have birthdays this week. So Wendy and Carl, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Jarad.
Thanks, mate. Bye.